everybody, I'm Kimberly Turner from cookingwithkimberly.com, and today I'm bringing you a brisket-style pork loin roast, specifically for Super Bowl tailgating. Now this is our Super Bowl tailgating show, one of them, and what's better on Super Bowl than a giant hunk of meat? And I don't mean a nice boyfriend you have there. I mean some nice food you're gonna eat, some big giant piece of meat. Don't be afraid of them, and it's the perfect time to handle these, right? Right, Mom?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So we're going to show you how to do this, and we're going to kind of make it like a brisket. Now when you do brisket, it's usually beef, but today we're doing a pork loin, and that's all good. So I'm going to take a sharp knife. There's this nice big fat layer on the top, and I'm going to show it to you. Big fat layer on the top. Now you want to leave that because that's going to give you amazing flavor, and all kinds of lovely things happen when it cooks with this fat on top. So we're going to actually roast it with the fat on top. You're going to take a really sharp knife and you're just going to score it. You're not going to cut all the way through the fat, but you want to get it just as close to the meat as you can, so that when that roasts, it all is easy to melt out and you can get all more flavors in. We're going to coat this with a beautiful dry rub, and then we're going to braise it. So this is going to give you dry heat, and that moist heat, you're going to get a nice crust on the top, but you're also going to have really moist meat inside. And any of the dry rub that comes off when you're braising it into that little bit of liquid is going to make your gravy super exciting. Right, Mommy?
Absolutely.
Okay, so sharp knife, sharpen it if you have to, and just score down into that fat. I like to go on a diagonal just because it looks pretty when you bring it out and show everybody after it's roasted. And just follow the way through. Try not to cut all the way through to that meat. That's not what you want to do. You want that fat to protect it and to keep it nice and moist and lubricated, as well as impart that gorgeous flavor it has. Man, there's nothing tastier than pork fat.
Oh.
I mean, out of all the fats, I think pork fat, it's got it going on.
You could just roast pork fat and eat it.
I know, right? If you guys, I guess you can't see Mom. The Mom's right here.
I'm here.
She's in her wheelchair today. Okay, so it doesn't have to be rocket science, it's all good. You can do crosshatch if you want to, whatever, so that you're just doing it like that, okay? Next thing's next, I'm going to create this dry rub. Sit tight. Okay, so we're gonna set this aside for 1 second while I create this rub. Now, I'm using a variety of spices that I like to taste in my rubs. I also need some brown sugar. Okay. So we're going to use a little bit of brown sugar. That's what I'm going to start with in this little bowl. Okay? Now I'm going to eyeball these. You can adjust your seasonings as you see fit, or what you guys like in your household, the flavors that you like. But this is what I'm rolling with this Super Bowl show. And you can vary it accordingly to whatever you want. I'm going to put a couple tablespoons of brown sugar. Thanks, Mom. I'm going to get some black pepper, probably about a tablespoon or so. Nice big tablespoon. Now, a lot of dry rub recipes, they ask for so many spices that I think it's such a waste. You're going to throw half of them out after you don't use them. Or it's just, you know, some of these herbs are just too pungent, Mommy. Too spicy or too pungent to just put a whole bunch.
It's a shame to waste them.
I agree. Here's some ancho chili powder. Now, don't be scared. This isn't spicy at all. I'm going to put a whole bunch, a whole heaping tablespoon, in fact.
It's kind of smoky.
It's very smoky. It's almost sweet, and it's the best thing that everyone explains it as smoky raisin.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's what it tastes like, a smoky raisin. Yeah. So, and it's going to give this beautiful color too. Little bit of cumin. Now, some recipes call for a whole bunch. I don't want a whole bunch. I just want a little bit. I'm going to use about 3/4 of a teaspoon compared to those other spices. Mustard. Here we go. We're going to use some dried ground mustard. About a teaspoon for the whole bowl. Look how much spices, Mama.
Yes.
Compared to the other ones, kid. All right, and I'm going to use a little bit of salt. I don't want to put too much because I feel that it really leaches out of the meat, and I like to salt my stuff later. So I'm going to put about just a teaspoon, just a teaspoon and a little tiny bit, just to get things going in there. I'm going to let this roast sit for about 1 to 2 hours. 2 hours if you have the time. And let those spices, before you even cook it, let those spices just mingle with the meat, okay? So I'm going to use, this is cayenne pepper. Now you can use chili powder or any other kind of spicy chili, but I'm going to use cayenne today, and I'm going to use just about a teaspoon. All right, so I'm going to put some La Chinata smoked paprika powder.
Oh, I love it.
This is so flavorful, so smoky, so sweet. Now they have 3 varieties. They have the sweet, the bitter, and the hot. And I could use a little bit of hot, but I'm going to use the sweet.
Yes, you've already put some hot.
That's exactly right. Quite a bit of cayenne pepper. So I'm going to use probably 2 heaping teaspoons of this smoked paprika powder. That looks like a great rub. Ready?
It does.
So now you're just going to use your hands and mix it through. Make sure that there's no chunks. Everything's even, and that brown sugar is broken up.
Oh, the brown sugar just is so much good.
Smell that.
Oh, I wish you could smell this. It is so smoky, sweet, delicious. I can't wait. Ooh,
Okay.
It's gonna be so good, Kim.
So I am going to do this in here probably.
Yes, that's good.
Move this out. Okay, I'm going to do it in this bowl just so I can keep the spices in here because I'm going to keep flipping it around. Now, the whole point is to get the spices really massaged into the meat and into these little crevices, right? And you want them to really just be able to get all coated. You want to make like a crust of this. Look at that, gorgeous. Rub it everywhere, make sure it's coated on every part of it. Be generous when you're doing this rub because this is the whole point, right? Now, don't be scared. You're not going to use all these spices when you're cooking it, but like all the extra that fell on the side, that's not going to stay in here. I'm going to cook it in a totally different container. Now get that underside as well.
Oh, it's gonna be so wonderful.
Look at this. Now, this is tailgating food. Yeah? You want this meat to be falling apart when it's cooked. You can use it for tacos and burritos or just like that on sandwiches, right, Mommy?
Nothing nicer than a brisket type sandwich.
Oh,
with
man.
pulled pork.
You are
my
never
goodness,
never
that's so
lying.
good.
All right, now let's make sure that everything's still coated on this side. Look how exactly perfect that was.
Yes,
All the rub I needed.
Proportion.
And I didn't want to waste any of that spice. It's terrible to do that, right? I mean, there's some here on the bottom, but it's not like I've done before. Okay. Washing my hands. Now all those spices aren't blocking your face. There's a whole lot of spice. So this looks awesome. I can't wait to even cook this. So this is gonna sit for 1 to 2 hours in my kitchen. Look at that. It smells unreal. Unreal. Gorgeous. Okay, so this is gonna sit and you're gonna see us in a little bit when we get things organized to cook it, okay? So let it sit tight on your counter or you can put it in your fridge and let it sit as well, okay? Okay, my pork loin has been sitting with these awesome rub spices on it for about an hour and a half now. What did you say, Mommy?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so it's been sitting and these spices have really adhered and they've gone in and they're starting to infuse that fat in the meat on the outside. It's gonna be unreal. So I'm actually going to transfer it into this uglier looking tin now, or this baking dish, because it's gonna be messy. It's gonna be messy and I don't want that to be all awful. I'm gonna have to scrub it, right? So I've got one that I use for certain things like this, right, Mom? Sometimes you don't want to use your pretties. So we're gonna put this all in here. I'm gonna wash my hands. Now, ideally for me, I would use beer at this point to use as the braising or the cooking liquid. I'm going to fill it up about 1.5 inches to make sure that we have some nice moisture coming through while it's roasting. I want you to keep an eye on it because we're going to actually cover it if we have to. But I'm going to start it off, Mom, and I'm going to start it so it kind of gets roasted on the top a little better, just like you would do poultry, yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I have my oven. It's been preheating to 375 degrees. We're still waiting. So in the meantime, I'm going to put just a little bit of liquid in here. Now, since I don't have beer today, unfortunately, I'm telling you to do that because it's Super Bowl. Go on and get you some beer. Beer or some wine would be really nice. But today I'm going to use some of this nice stock that we've been making. We're having turkey soup for dinner because it's freezing outside here in Canada. So I'm going to put a little bit of this stock. It's so flavorful and it's going to really infuse some nice extra flavor into this. So I'm just going to don't put it on top of your roast. You want to put it, don't like pour it on top, pour it to the sides. You don't want to get that top all wet because that's where all that beautiful fat is that we scored. And now we push that dry rub into there and we're going to roast it. And you're going to want that to get nice and brown and crispy on top. So I'm just putting about, right now, I'm going to say maybe an inch of liquid because I don't think we really need much more of that. So I'm going to leave this here until my oven is preheated to 375 in a couple minutes, and I'm going to throw it in. So you'll see me then. Okay, so my oven is preheated and that's all exciting. But now I'm going to add a couple mustard seeds to this liquid. I don't know, 1/4 of a teaspoon. 1 bay leaf, or some bay leaves, some little chunks, that's what I'm doing. And then, to appease my mommy, which that's what she always does, I'm gonna put 1 little clove in here. It just gives that je ne sais quoi to the meat that she's looking for. I know she's looking for, so I'm going to help that.
Just one.
Just one. You don't need a lot because it'll overpower.
You don't want it to taste like the Christmas pudding.
Absolutely not. And that's the reason why I didn't put it in the dry rub. You can put cloves in. I've heard of them doing that before, but I just think it's too overpowering for me, especially when it's all ground in and on everything like that. I just want the nuance of that clove, you know, just a little something, something. So my oven is preheated, and I'm going to make things easy for myself by putting this on a cookie sheet. Makes it easy, right? All right. So if you have any spillage or any, you know, this pan has been through it, so it's not.
But you don't want to ruin
exactly.
Pan.
And it's not going to be completely flat. So instead of worrying about doing this all the time, I'm just going to use it on a cookie sheet. So into the oven it goes. Can you open it for me? Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so this is going to go for about 2.5 hours. If you can let it go a little longer, you're even more golden than that. But we're going to go about probably 2 hours, 2.5. And I'm going to leave this in there right now for 30 minutes before I even look at it. This should allow it time to caramelize some of that fat on the top, right, to get that rub all like nice and crusty. That's what I want. But it's going to roast that pork loin with moist heat, and it's going to keep everything nice and juicy.
Right. It's going to be delicious.
Yes, ma'am. So in 30 minutes, you're going to check it, set your time.
It smells so good.
Okay, look at what's going on here. We've been going for about 40 minutes, okay? I still have some nice juice left in the bottom, but look, and now it's all flavored with that rub. You can see it. All caramelized on the top. Look at that. The crust is gorgeous.
Ooh, that's gonna be so. It's gonna be so
Ooh,
awesome.
Mommy, we got it going on. You can see the little slits. Isn't that awesome? Anyhow, now at this point we have a nice crust that's browned and caramelized on the top. We have that brown sugar in there, so we don't want it to burn.
No,
it's not what we want.
We do not want burnt sugar.
Exactly, and we want to
taste good.
And we want to keep this liquid in here as well. I don't know if I even need to put any in right now. We're going to make a loose aluminum foil tent,
just to protect it from getting it burnt.
Now, I don't want to completely cover this up because I don't want that just steaming this meat and getting this nice crust that we've achieved and getting it all, you know, soggy. It's not what I'm looking for. I'm going to put the tent on. It's going to allow that the liquid to permeate the whole oven, keep things nice and moist, but it's also going to allow me to continue to cook this roast, but not burn the outside. It's going to cook in the inside.
And I'm glad that you just sprayed
Yeah.
the shiny side, because that will keep the heat in.
The shiniest side is what you want towards your food. That's what reflects the heat, right? Reflects it back in on it. So we're going to put that, but you have to spray it, because if you get that stuck on there and you pull that beautiful crust off with your aluminum foil, you sure are going to be mad.
You won't be happy at
You
all.
just went to all that trouble to get this beautiful crust. Not cool. So I'm just going to lightly put this on top of this roast. And I'm gonna put it back in. It's gonna go in for another, I don't know, probably an hour like this. Okay, so this is gonna go back into the oven. We're gonna turn it down to 325 degrees so we can slower roast this. It's gonna go for another like hour, hour and a half, 2 hours maybe if we have the time. But we want to continue to roast nice and slowly. Yes. Now, you're gonna wanna check it in another 30 minutes again to make sure that there's enough liquid in there to keep everything nice and moist and juicy. Other than that, don't mess with it. Don't mess with it, don't fuss with it. Just leave it alone. It's gonna roast all by itself and you're gonna love it. All right. So we'll see you in probably another hour or so. Okay, I just took this out of the oven. There's still liquid in there, we're all good. We have reached our temperature that we need to reach for it to be properly done. And people say that that's, I'm looking on here, it says 170. But you can go a little bit less than that. That's just to really, really make sure that it's done for sure, 170. So if you go like 165, you're pretty good, and it's gonna usually keep your pork a lot more. So I'm gonna put this little tent on. It's gonna sit for 5 minutes. Right now, all the juices are really angry, and if you put a knife through it, they would all just explode out. All the moisture that you've been really adamant in keeping in there will be gone, it will be lost. So we need to let this meat just rest and chill out for a little bit, reabsorb its juices, and then we'll slice it up. And I'm gonna get these potatoes right now. For a side dish, I'm making these bacon mashed potatoes. They're awesome. Make sure that you check out that recipe as well. They go perfectly with this for Super Bowl Sunday. All right, this has been waiting for even a little bit longer. I would say about 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes maybe. Look at that roast.
Oh my goodness.
The spices are blackened.
It just looks wonderful.
We got lots of juice for all kinds of things this week. It's gonna be awesome. Take this out. Mom's gonna do the honors of slicing this sucker up. Are you gonna slice it in there or on the thing?
What do you think?
Whatever's
I think it's easier if I take it out.
I was wondering. So let's do that. We won't have to dump the juice accidentally.
Oh no. We would not want to do that.
You might even want to pour that on your potatoes.
Oh.
We just made bacon mashed potatoes. Make sure you check out that show. It's also a Super Bowl Sunday tailgating show. It goes along perfect with this.
I'm
now
just
look
going
at this.
as easy as I can.
You're gonna go against the grain this way?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this looks ridiculously good. Look how juicy that is. There's just juice oozing. There's just juice.
I don't want to press on this. I just want to saw it back and forth real easy. I can't wait 1 second.
Okay, here's a fork. You probably don't need one. Is that for me?
Yeah.
Oh boy, look at this. I'm looking for something. Well, keep going.
Okay. Do you want me to cut it this way here?
On the bias.
Yeah. Okay. Since you cut the roast, we cut the roast when we got it. It's hard for me to tell which end is up. I'm just going to pile this on here nicely. So lovely, doesn't it?
Gosh, it's so tasty.
All those flavors in here are just amazing. And the juice, every piece I cut, it's just glistening with juices. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful slices. And the thing is, you can even slice it so thin because this crust is holding it all in so nicely. You can get these nice thin slices. Look at that. Oh, Kimmy, this is beautiful.
I know. I'm looking for my baker's ribs sprinkle for the top.
Look at that.
Oh, Mommy, look at this. I'm going to show them, pick it up for them. Look at this. Look at that. How gorgeous is that with those spices?
And
the spices are so tasty on there.
Even though you can cut these little thin slices, it is just fall apart right.
And this is really crunchy, like crust. With those spices on it. Mom. Me too.
Yummy. I think I'm not going to cut any more right now. Here. I think
We're
that's quite sufficient.
Yes, ma'am. Okay,
With that.
that's good.
What a day.
Yes, ma'am.
What a day, my dear.
Absolutely.
Our Super Bowl day is going to be great.
Yes, ma'am. You could have even cut it on the bias this way, which would have it would have even made it a little bit different texture as well. It's easier to pull apart, more like brisket. So anyway, that's how you make the brisket-style pork loin roast, and it's Super Bowl, and this is going to be awesome. Make sure you check out that mashed potato recipe. It goes along perfect with this. Now, we're not saying anything in particular except my colors I'm wearing. I don't know who you guys think are going to win. The Seahawks have been doing wonderful. They have been going on a streak for a while now. We've been following them. But Peyton Manning, just got to love him. He's clutch. I've always liked Manning since he was on the Colts. He's the bomb.
He's always been.
You never know, and it's a veteran against a rookie, Mommy. Who do you think?
I have to go with Peyton Manning.
You're going with Manning with the Broncos?
Yeah.
You're going to wear navy?
I guess I am.
Well, I'm going to be wearing navy too. So you can always pretend.
This piece is for anybody who's walking past this
Oh,
board.
dear.
It's just perfect little tidbits for anybody who needs one.
That's going to be so good with the juice on it.
Oh, I've never seen such a pretty roast. Just dunk it in that juice.
Oh my goodness. You have to make this. This is awesome.
Oh, this is so good.
This is tailgating at its best. I hope you enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday. You got anything else to say?
I can't even talk. I have to eat. People, I have to eat. This is so good.
Check out Mom's website at ingridturnertoday.com. Follow me on Twitter at cookingwithkim, with a capital E. Like the fan page at facebook.com/cookingwithkimberly. My shows are on ifood.tv/cookingwithkimberly and youtube.com/cookingwithkimberly. And my site is cookingwithkimberly.com. That's it. That's all. Be a champion in your kitchen and eat deliciously. Bye. Super Bowl brisket-style pork loin roast and bacon mashed potatoes. You want this for tailgating on Super Bowl Sunday. Have a good time.